Hello there survivors, welcome back to another video on ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm rebuilding some more of the desert ruins, finishing up the first half of this whole town here and basically finishing the main street, adding in the last buildings and really bringing this whole ruin back to life. I actually did the last two parts of this ruin rebuild live on stream, so make sure to have your notifications on or maybe join my Discord if you want to be notified for when I go live so you can be here. First we'll show you around in a little tour. I'll show you all the buildings and the additions that we've done to the town, and afterwards we'll do a little speed build of me actually building all these ruins if you want to maybe follow along and see how I do certain things to make everything work and make everything come together. But of course you can also check the full live streams that are still on my channel if you want to see the builds in more detail and be able to follow along at a more reasonable pace. There we go, this is the town all rebuilt, at least this whole side of it. Of course there's another side over there, but I haven't started on that yet. I might do in the future, but I won't be starting that right now because there's a bunch of other things that I would like to build first, and it's a lot of these same kind of buildings. But as you can see right over here, we do have a very complete ruin rebuild with all the buildings on one side, all the buildings on the other side, really coming together quite nicely and really forming a busy town, a busy main street here with a very nice feeling, especially with those street lanterns. Some part of the DLC that really helps a lot by building these streets and filling them in and making them feel alive. Of course, there could be more details to be added if I wanted to. I could still go around and add some more detail to the builds, but this is already looking really nice and really like a proper little town. So let's do one more little flyby before we go into looking at all these buildings. So we got the gatehouse with kind of like guard post structures next to it, a little bit of watchtowers, and then we got a bunch of different buildings, like little different houses, some with the pointy roofs, some with the flat roofs, more the desert style I suppose. We got some small houses over here on the edge. We got a little dino pen over here. Of course the first building here, that was the bigger rebuild that we did. Right over there we got the windmill for the power, and we got some smaller buildings here. Then we got one very long building, which is actually three smaller ruins combined to one, and so combined all together. Then we got this more fortified building, and then some smaller buildings in between until we get to the other guard post, and that all with some extra water towers to get the water here in the desert, and a bunch of species X to, you know, kind of make sure that the place is all safe. Alright, and this is what it looks like if you arrive at the town. A really nice front view of it, I think. It's really definitely looking like a proper town when you arrive over here. You got these two watchtowers on the side, and then this fortified building, the guard post, and of course the gate in the middle to kind of create that feeling of a proper entrance to the town. And if you're in here, you can instantly feel like you're in a big, busy main street. We got a couple of these little like front fortified gardens everywhere, and of course a lot of places to find some shade, and even a little cart driving through the town. Yeah, there's a lot of these buildings. I haven't done any interiors, but yeah, I do like little details you get by having all of these buildings being rebuilt and having like doors and little details sticking out. Now, as I said, I could probably add more detail, like I could have like stuff in these courtyards or little crates everywhere, but I didn't want to go too crazy yet. I might still do that, probably here especially, because I feel like this could be a really cool market stall. And then we got one of the more bigger structured buildings here, and then the longhouse as well over there, and then more of the things that we showed off in the last video as well. I especially like this little courtyard with the horse stables over here. Looking really nice. But yeah, some of these new additions are actually pretty cool. So you got the watchtowers, the guard towers that can actually be entered. Of course, there's actually a staircase inside of them, so you can easily go up here to stand watch, you know, look out over our surroundings, enjoy the view, enjoy the lovely town as well. So yeah, even though I don't plan on using a lot of these buildings as a main base in survival, you definitely could, and especially if you have like a bigger tribe with a bunch of friends, everyone could basically have their own separate homes, because there's a lot of these runes in there, and in some of these buildings you're able to build up to more layers, so you can actually get some pretty big builds together. And then, you know, you have little things like this to add in some extra details, add just some nice extras in that just help it feel all alive, especially from the outside. Of course, all these little additions to the building, the little overhangs, the little balconies, the porches everywhere really help bringing this all to life. I especially like all the little alleyways it created, and then we've got a little ladder going up again to go to this little platform, and then you have that one over here as well. And then to get here, there's no stair in the normal ruin, so to get there I had to create this little alleyway. You can actually access it from down here, which is really cool because it creates like all these little pathways and little alleyways that you will only see in actual towns. And I feel like if you were to build a town yourself, even if you would try to create all these alleyways and the different levels, you probably wouldn't end up with something as dynamic and alive as when you're rebuilding a ruin. Now this is one of the bigger builds, this long house. It's actually 3 smaller ruins that were very close together. So I started by laying these foundations in, and then I really wanted to connect it to the next one, but as you can see, those are slightly lower, so I could still snap the foundation to it. It would only be a little bit lower, but that was fine, and you can still look through to the other side. And yeah, this was basically one ruin, but there was like an opportunity to connect it to this one. So you have some structures on the inside, basically dividing your rooms up, and then here you got another exit or entrance to the main street. So yeah, it was a really fun job trying to connect this all and integrating it with all the ruin parts, and you know, keeping as much of the building intact, and in you know, having to use the character of the ruin. Actually have a little room here that would be perfect for like a generator. And then we got stairs going up to the next layer, which is the layer that we created on top of these ruins. And here you can see this would be the most practical because you have a lot of space created by yourselves. And then you can access the balconies to again look out over the town. There's another balcony over here as well, just to add a little bit of extra life, and mostly to add some different shapes to the sides of the building. Yeah, by adding some of these side buildings, you really get like more shape to a build instead of having it really square. So that's why I have all these little overhangs on the side here. Also, of course, because it would make a lot of sense to create as much shade as possible in a desert town like this. But also just to make the main building less square by having all these different shapes jutting out from the side, and just adding a bunch of details in that way. And I think when you look at it all together, it really adds a lot of life to it as well. And then, yeah, we have another little small ruin here as well. The main thing I wanted to with the roof was also trying to add in some detail. That's why we have the little side window on top of there as well. I would have added more, but I kind of wanted to line it up with the existing details in the structure. And unfortunately, it didn't really line up in too many places without it looking kind of weird. So we ended up with only that one, but I think it works really well because that's also the main angle you would see the building from if you're walking along the main street. So I think that's probably one of the more important angles of that building. And then next to it we have the bigger build here, the more fortified build, which is also looking really nice. That's also fully connected. It's not decorated, of course, because again, yeah, I'm not going to use this in survival, so I don't want to do a lot of interiors that I'm never going to see. But we do have a nice little tower here again overlooking the town, and you can really see all the different builds. Yeah, and overall, if you're just looking at the entire town, I'm just really happy with the way it all turned out. Of course, all the newer additions really make it so that the town is finally finished and feels like a living town. I also like the little diversity of buildings that we have. We have got like the more structured building over there in the middle. Then we have the longer house over there. We got some of these smaller, simple houses that are just like basically the bare minimum of rebuilding the existing structures. Got a lot of cool little overhangs to add in a little bit more shape. and then a bunch of the smaller buildings, roofs buildings. So just to add in a lot of, yeah, literally diversity of building, like different building types, which I feel like makes it look like more of a city, because that is what you would normally see in a city like this. And of course, the buildings that I showed off last time, we've got the bigger build up here, which is also combining a couple of ruins into one, and even has this little hidden alleyway with a hidden storage underneath, and just a bunch of the smaller buildings. Still really proud, of course, of the courtyard with these stables and everything connected to it as well. We got another couple of builds, just adding in these cool like little corners of this town that really brings it all back to life, as well as these little small buildings here on the edge. They also just look like their own little neighborhood, the poorest buildings on the outskirts of the town before you actually enter it. And yeah, there's a lot of those little details around the place where everything is just connected, and you can actually walk through everything, and you will just end up in the next building or the next little street. And that's just something that I really like about this build specifically, because I've done a lot of ruin rebuilds in the past, of course, usually just turning them into cool structures, usually for bases as well. But this was the first time that I was actually not just rebuilding any single ruin, but really turning it into a proper little town, which is kind of exciting, because you just have a lot of places to walk around, to see, and that are somehow connected up again, so you reach new places that you didn't think you were able to go before, and that is just really exciting about this place, I think. So yeah, it was a really fun project to do. As I said, I'm probably not gonna jump right into rebuilding the other ruins right next door, because they are very similar. They are very similar. Like, there's more of the same buildings, so I will probably do it at some point, but it is not a priority right now. If I feel like it, I will. Maybe we'll do some more streams to get them done, but I think there's some other build projects that are more exciting, more different build projects mostly to do first before I tackle more of this. But this has really been a really fun ruin rebuild, because it was so different to the ruins that I rebuilt on the island. Now, as I said at the start, this was just a little tour of the town. I'm going to show you how I rebuilt the last two parts of this. So the guard post area and the gate to the town, and then these last couple of buildings over here. I all did on stream, so I'll show you the speed build of that right now. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you want to support me even more, help me being able to do this more often, then feel free to check out becoming a member, because that's currently the best way to support me. And tier 2 members actually get early access to every video that I post. Let's get into the speed build.